Live from New Delhi, you're watching the India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, coming up in the next hour. Indian nationals advised against travelling to Bangladesh in view of violent protest. Students to hold a long march to Dhaka on Friday. UK government to hold an emergency response meeting on Monday after worst riots in 13 years. More than 150 people arrested. US President Joe Biden to meet his national security team on Monday as the US military moves to de-escalate West Asia tensions. The UK evacuates families of embassy staff from Lebanon's capital, Beirut. India's President Draupadi Murmu to reach Fiji on Monday on the first leg of a three-nation tour that will also take her to New Zealand and Timor-Leste. And at the Paris Olympics, India's shuttler Lakshya Sen to play against Malaysia's Lee Jia for the bronze in men's singles. On to the details now. In Bangladesh, more than 90 people, including 13 police personnel, were killed and scores injured on Sunday in violent clashes. The protesting students have announced a long march to Dhaka for Monday, demanding the resignation of Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina-led government. We tell you more in this report.
As violence flare up across Bangladesh and widespread protests continue, the government has imposed an indefinite curfew on Sunday. Alongside the curfew, mobile internet services have been suspended again. The decision follows a violent day of clashes on Sunday. The violence erupted between protesters, law enforcement agencies and ruling party-backed group across Dhaka, Kumila, Rangpur, Kishorganj, Sirajganj, Pabna, Munshiganj and Mogura.
All the ministers are in the hiding. Wait and see how the people will go and surround the PM house. If Sheikh Hasina doesn't resign voluntarily, we will take our next step.
To ensure public safety amid the unrest, the government has declared a three-day public holiday from Monday to Wednesday. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina also held an emergency National Committee meeting on security affairs on Sunday. The anti-discrimination student movement, which has been leading quota reforms protest, intensified its efforts on Sunday with a nationwide non-cooperation campaign. With one-point agenda, movement's leaders are calling for the resignation of the Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. Rabindra's report for DD India.
And in view of the ongoing developments, Indian nationals are strongly advised against travelling to Bangladesh till further notice. In the advisory, the External Affairs Ministry said all Indian nationals presently in Bangladesh are advised to exercise extreme caution, restrict their movements and remain in contact with the High Commission of India in Dhaka through their emergency phone numbers. Those are 880-195-838-3679. The next number is 880-195-838-368. Other number is 880-193-740-0591. I repeat the numbers. The numbers are 880-195-838-367. Another number is 880-195-838-3680 and 880-193-740-0591. And in view of the ongoing developments, Indian nationals are strongly advised against travelling to Bangladesh till further notice. All Indian nationals presently in Bangladesh are advised to exercise extreme caution, restrict their movements and remain in contact with the embassy. In ongoing protest, all Indian nationals are requested to constrain themselves in travelling to Bangladesh. And in the advisory, the External Affairs Ministry has said all Indian nationals presently in Bangladesh are advised to exercise extreme caution, restrict their movements and remain in contact with the High Commission of India in Dhaka. The numbers are given up on your screens. And now we are joined by Naval Singh Parmar for more on this. Well, from Dhaka, well, Naval, the protest began as an agitation against the 30% reservation in government jobs for the descendants of the freedom fighters. Bangladesh's top court has, however, scaled back the controversial quota for civil services job applicants, reducing its scope but stopping short of a complete ban. So why do you think the anti-quota protest changed into the anti-government protest?
Actually, this quota protest started on the onset of the month of July, and in the mid of July, it became more, we can say, prominent. And during that time, there were a huge clash, and in that many people lost their lives, and most of them were the students and the common people. And over a period of time, on Friday, 19th July, government imposed curfew and the deployment of army and blackout of the internet. And then subsequently, in the next week, there were arrests and police case filing, and in that many people got arrested, and around 11,000 people, and most of them were students and the common people. So there were confinement of the coordinator of the movement. And after that, there were huge rules and cries, and then government released that coordinator. And on last Friday, there were a huge procession and gatherings in Dhaka and other part of Bangladesh. And after that, they declared their 1-point demand instead of 9-point demand, and their demand is to resignation of Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina lead government. And the earlier started as a student movement, protest turned into a political from all walk of life, common people, and the opposition and the religious.
All right. Naval Singh, also, what are the protesters demanding now? How's the situation now in Dhaka and elsewhere in the country? What's the current update? Seems we have lost Naval Singh for right now. We'll go back to him later. For now, moving on to more than 140 people have been arrested in the UK as far-right demonstrations continue to spill over into violence. Prime Minister Keir Starmer has vowed to do whatever it takes to bring these thugs to justice. A series of clashes took place across the UK over the weekend. They were initially sparked by misinformation after a mass stabbing last week, but the police say they are now being attended by many just looking to deliberately cause unrest. John Beaver reports for more.
It was a weekend of unrest in many parts of the UK as demonstrations turned to violence. Far-right protesters gathered to call for tighter immigration laws, but some started fighting counter-protesters and the police. There were also reports of some looting and arson. Tensions have been high since 3 girls were killed at a dance class in Southport in northwest England last Monday. The suspect was born in the UK, but misinformation quickly spread online, claiming he was a recently arrived Muslim immigrant. Police have blamed much of the violence on the English Defence League, or EDL, whose supporters have been linked not only to football hooliganism, but also to Islamophobic ideologies. Senior police officers have condemned the rioting, and security has been increased at many Muslim places of worship across the UK. The policing minister said the protests meant people felt unsafe because of the colour of their skin. The new Home Secretary has vowed a swift and robust response. She said that communities must feel safe on the streets and promised that there are consequences for breaking the law. John Beaver in Bristol, reporting for DD India.
Well, in an address to the nation, British Prime Minister Keir Starmer condemned the recent anti-immigration riots, calling them far-right thuggery. He promised that the rioters would be met with swift judicial action.
I utterly condemn the far-right thuggery we've seen this weekend. Be in no doubt, those that have participated in this violence will face the full force of the law. The police will be making arrests, individuals will be held on remand, charges will follow, and convictions will follow. This is not protest. It is organised, violent thuggery, and it has no place on our streets or online.
And for the latest update on the Bangladesh situation, we are again joined by our correspondent Naval Singh Parmar from there. Well, Naval Singh, what are the protesters demanding now? How's the situation now in Dhaka and elsewhere in the country? What's the current update?
Yes, on ground, the situation is very tense here in Bangladesh and particularly in Dhaka, because today the protesters have given a call to march to Dhaka. And there is a deployment of armed forces, and curfew have been imposed on yesterday evening, and the situation is very critical here. And the protesters are announcing from various social media platforms that we will not obey the curfew imposed by the government, and and they are demanding resignation of the Sheikh Hasina government in Bangladesh. However, army late night appealed people to obey the curfew imposed by government. Don't force us to take a stern action against the whoever violate the curfew rules. Earlier, this protest started as a student protest demanding reforms in reservation systems of the Bangladesh, in which the government job. And then they shift their demand from reforms in reservation to the justice to the people who have been killed during the month of July, mid of July, during the protest movement, and justice to the people who have been arrested after the protest in the third and fourth week of July. And now their demand is a one-point demand, and that is the resignation of Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina's government.
Also, Naval Singh, the protesting students are doing a long march today to protest the entire issue. What's the update on that?
Yes, yesterday there were a call for non-cooperation movement, and for today they have announced for the long march to Dhaka, and in which people from other parts of the Bangladesh will march to Dhaka. And during the night time, when I was going through some social media platforms, that there were preparedness for the people. They are trying to come to Dhaka, and they are making announcement and calls to people of the Bangladesh to please join the march and be a part of the movement. On the contrary, government version is also released on yesterday night, and the press secretary of the Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina said that the Madam Prime Minister has given a call that these people are no longer now a student agitators or students who are protesting for the cause of student. They have taken arms and violence, so they can be termed as a terrorist, and they have called their party men to resist the any form of violence created by the so-called miscreant.
All right. Thank you so much, Naval Singh, for all that update from Dhaka. And still to come on DD India News Hour. Russia captures the village of Novosivilka Pervaya in eastern Ukraine. North Korea's leader, Kim Jong-un, oversees delivery of new tactical ballistic missile launchers. South Korea terms them as a threat. And marine warnings issued for Atlantic as tropical storm Debby strengthens into a hurricane.
This summer, the world turns its eyes to Paris, and DD India brings you every heartbeat, every victory, and every story. Introducing our special coverage of the Paris Olympics. Experience the passion, the drama, and the triumphs. With exclusive reports, expert analysis, and up-to-the-minute updates. Join us as we bring the spirit of the Olympics to your screens.
Get ready for the ultimate sporting extravaganza on DD India.
DD India presents Champions Day Paris. Only on DD India. Every day at 6:30 p.m. IST, 1 p.m. GMT.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lipakshi Kuran, and moving on, tensions remain high in West Asia as Iran continues to signal that it will launch an attack on Israel. The Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps says the planned military action is in response to the killing of Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh. Trent Murray reports for more from Lebanon's capital, Beirut.
Well, for people living here in the Lebanese capital and really right across West Asia, there is growing concern that this region could be on the brink of a major war. That is because we continue to see a ratcheting up of the rhetoric from groups like the Lebanon-based Hezbollah. They say they are preparing a major response to that Israeli airstrike which targeted the southern suburbs of this city Tuesday, killing one of the group's most senior commanders. Now, Hezbollah, of course, forms a crucial part of what the Iranians describe as the axis of resistance, very much led by Tehran, but includes groups like Hezbollah, as well as others from Iraq, Syria, Hamas, of course, in Gaza, as well as the Yemeni-based Houthis. And what many diplomats and analysts are worried about is that all of those groups are currently talking to coordinate a major attack on Israel. Now, we know in response, there are efforts underway to prepare the country for that attack in Israel. Certainly, Israeli media is reporting bunkers have been prepared for government ministers. We also understand those same government ministers have been given satellite telephones in the event that the phone network goes down. That all happening while the US is continuing to move military assets into this region, including warships and fighter jets. It is expected that if this big attack against Israel does come, the US will attempt to help the Israeli Air Force intercept and shoot down rockets and cruise missiles that may be attempting to enter Israeli airspace. The concern from the Israelis is that while the Iranians might be planning a big attack, there is some warning time if it comes from Iran. The cruise missiles would take about 12 minutes to arrive. The drones are slower, 5 to 10 hours. But from Hezbollah's perspective, we have to remember they are on the border with Israel. There is very little warning time if they decide to attack. It is thought that they have an arsenal of 130 to 150,000 rockets, and if they decide to use some of that firepower en masse, well, it is expected the Iron Dome in Israel simply will not be able to keep up, and there will be significant damage. It is for that reason that there are concerns here around how Israel would respond to that. That is why we know diplomats across this region have been making a number of telephone calls to all sides to try and just bring down the temperature and de-escalate this situation. A reminder, the government of India is warning all Indian nationals here in Lebanon to make immediate plans to leave. Trent Murray for DD India, Beirut.
Meanwhile, the United States and its allies are trying to dial down tensions in West Asia. Amid escalating tensions, the U.S. is moving further military assets into the region as diplomats work to avoid a major conflict. Jagriti Debby has more from there.
An alert over the weekend from the US Embassy in Lebanon says they encourage those who wish to depart Lebanon to book any ticket available, even if that flight does not depart immediately, nor does it allow their first choice route. They say US citizens who don't have enough money to get back to the US can get financial assistance through repatriation loans. They're also advising those who choose to remain in Lebanon to prepare contingency plans for emergency situations and be prepared to shelter in place for an extended period of time. All this as the region is bracing for some kind of escalation following the killing of top Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh, as well as an Israeli strike in Lebanon's capital, Beirut, which killed a senior member of the Iran-backed militant group Hezbollah. Alongside diplomatic efforts to dial down the tensions, the United States is increasing its military presence in the region. Speaking to news programs over the weekend, Jonathan Feiner, the White House National Security Council's deputy advisor, said the US is getting ready for every possibility, but ultimately their goal is de-escalation. Jagruti Dave in Washington reporting for DD India.
Well, as regional tensions escalate and nations ask their citizens to leave, Britain on Sunday withdrew the families of embassy staff in Beirut. Reiterating a call for citizens in the country to leave, the UK said, "We are deeply concerned with the highly volatile security situation in Lebanon. We have also temporarily withdrawn the families of officials working at the British Embassy Beirut. All British nationals should leave Lebanon now, while commercial routes are still available." Additionally, the UK has also deployed consular officials, border force and military personnel in the region. And moving on, US presidential candidate Kamala Harris met with potential nominees for vice president on Sunday at her residence in Washington, D.C. She will likely announce her running mate on Monday. She met 3 potential candidates: Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, US Senator Mark Kelly of Arizona, and Pennsylvania Governor George Shapiro, and held extensive talks with them. Harris plans to appear for her public gathering on Tuesday in Philadelphia with the running mate. Harris' campaign managers are also planning a social media announcement featuring the duo. Earlier, she has also met Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg on Friday and is also meeting candidates virtually, including Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear and Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker for the post. And Russian forces captured the village of Novoselivka Pivaya in eastern Ukraine on Sunday. Ukraine on Sunday announced the mandatory evacuation of children and their guardians from areas in the Donetsk region. That comes as Ukraine received the first F-16 fighter jets. Dasha Chernishova has more from Moscow.
Moscow claims more advances in the area of its so-called special military operation in Ukraine. Russian Ministry of Defense says it has taken under its control the settlement of Novoselivka I in the Donetsk People's Republic after 5 more settlements have been taken under the Russian control. The ministry also notes that the total losses of the Ukrainian armed forces have exceeded 1,900 people over the past day. Moscow says Ukraine launched 8 ATACMS missiles and 4 Storm Shadows on the Lugansk region. Russia's Belgrade region has also come under the Ukrainian attack. A woman died as a result of the Ukrainian drone strike. Media reports suggest Ukraine has received and started to use first F-16 fighter jets, which Moscow says will become the legitimate target of its operation in Ukraine. A Russian company has earlier said that it will pay a bonus of 15 million Russian rubles or $179,000 for the first F-16 fighter jets that could be shot in Ukraine. In the meantime, Russian Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Ryabkov said the moment may come when Russia will need to deploy its nuclear missiles in response to Western actions. He stressed that Russia will not make unilateral concessions to the West to settle the conflict in Ukraine. Dasha Chernishova reporting in Moscow for DD India.
Well, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un oversaw the delivery of a new tactical ballistic missile system to troops on Sunday. Kim also gave a speech at the ceremonial event in Pyongyang where 250 new tactical ballistic missile launchers were unveiled. Kim reaffirmed his stance that stockpiling and improving the country's nuclear weapons was the best way to counter what he said were nuclear threats and pressure from the United States. The launchers have been described by state media as a powerful, up-to-date tactical attack weapon personally designed by Kim and ready to be transferred to Korean People's Army units. Seoul has said that Pyongyang's illegal nuclear and missile programs were the primary threat to peace and stability on the Korean peninsula.
South Korean and US intelligence authorities are continue to track and monitor the trend of North Korean military's weapon development, and it is necessary to track the weapon system which was publicly reported by the North to check its performance and whether it is weaponized. We believe they are intended to be used in various ways, such to attack or threaten South Korea.
Well, Australia raised its terror threat level to probable from possible following an increase in extremist views and violence in the country. Recent violent incidents, including a Sydney knife attack, were cited as motivations behind the alert change. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese said he had raised the threat level following advice from security services, but said there was no imminent threat of an attack.
I want to reassure Australians, probable does not mean inevitable, and it does not mean there is intelligence about an imminent threat or danger. But the advice that we've received is that more Australians are embracing a more diverse range of extreme ideologies, and it is our responsibility to be vigilant. To be clear, this is the same threat level that was in place in Australia for more than 8 years before it was lowered in November of 2022.
Well, tropical storm Debby strengthens into a hurricane as it approaches northeastern Gulf Coast of Florida. Debby expected to dump heavy flooding in the southeast United States. Authorities have plumped its preparedness for the region. The officials have deployed over 3,000 National Guard troops and has put most of the state's cities under emergency orders. The hurricane is expected to bring high tides to the region. The hurricane is also expected to dump historic rainfall and catastrophic flooding to Georgia and South Carolina. And still to come on DD India News Hour. The Indian Air Force to host the first phase of Tarang Shakti, a multinational exercise. Golden date for India and the world today on 5th of August as the Bhumi Pujan of Lord Sri Ram's temple was performed in Ayodhya by the PM. Indian devotees throng Mahakaleshwar temple in Ujjain city to offer prayers on 3rd Monday of Holy Sawan month.
This summer, the world turns its eyes to Paris, and DD India brings you every heartbeat, every victory, and every story. Introducing our special coverage of the Paris Olympics. Experience the passion, the drama, and the triumphs. With exclusive reports, expert analysis, and up-to-the-minute updates. Join us as we bring the spirit of the Olympics to your screens.
Get ready for the ultimate sporting extravaganza on DD India.
DD India presents Champions Day Paris. Only on DD India. Every day at 6:30 p.m. IST, 1 p.m. GMT.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lipakshi Khuranan. Time now for a quick recap of the headlines. Indian nationals advise against travelling to Bangladesh in view of violent protest. Students to hold a long march to Dhaka on Monday. UK government to hold an emergency response meeting on Monday after worst riots in 13 years. More than 150 people arrested. US President Joe Biden to meet his national security team on Monday as the US military moves to de-escalate West Asia tensions. The UK evacuates families of embassy staff from Lebanon's capital, Beirut. India's President Draupadi Murmu to reach Fiji on Monday on the first leg of a three-nation tour that will also take her to New Zealand and Timor-Leste. And at the Paris Olympics, India's shuttler Lakshya Sen to play against Malaysia Lizzie Jia for the bronze in men's singles. And moving on, President of India Draupadi Murmu will reach Fiji on Monday on the first leg of a 6-day three-nation tour. In Fiji, President Murmu will meet her counterpart and the Prime Minister. She will address Fiji's parliament. She will visit the Siva Subramania Swami temple, a symbol of the cultural ties between the two countries. On the second leg of her visit, President Murmu will be in New Zealand on 8th and 9th of August. She will meet the Prime Minister and Deputy Prime Minister. She will address the New Zealand International Education Conference in Wellington. President Murmu will finally travel to Delhi, the capital of the Southeast Asian country of Timor-Leste, where she will hold a meeting with a counterpart as well as meet the Prime Minister. President Murmu will address the Indian community in all the three countries. Her visit aims to boost India's Act East policy and its outreach to countries in the Indo-Pacific. And the Indian Air Force will host the first phase of multinational air exercise Tarang Shakti from today. The first phase will begin in the southern part of India at Sulur of Tamil Nadu. It will witness participation from the air forces of Germany, France, Spain and the United Kingdom, while the second phase will take place in Jodhpur in Rajasthan in September. The Indian Air Force has deployed Rafale Tejas light combat aircraft, Sukhoi 30 MKI, Mirage 2000 and Jaguar fighters, along with helicopters such as the Prachand Light. The German, Spanish and UK Air Forces will join with the Eurofighter Typhoon aircraft, while Australia, the UAE and the USA will bring F-18 fighters. France's Air Force will participate with Rafale fighter aircraft. Well, 5th of August holds a very significant place in India's history. On this day in 2020, the Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi, performed groundbreaking ceremony of Lord Sri Ram's temple. It became the modern symbol of country's traditions, devotion and our national sentiment. This temple symbolizes the power of the collective resolution of the population. It will keep inspiring future generations.
5th August in 2020 is registered as the beginning of a golden chapter, not only for India, but for the entire world. The groundbreaking ceremony of the Ram Temple was performed on this day in the ancient city of Ayodhya in the northern India. In this special ceremony, first 9 stones were worshipped that were used in the construction of Ram Temple. Along with performing the ritual, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi planted a sapling in the temple complex. While the formation of Ram Mandir Trust was announced in Parliament in February 2020. The decision to build the Ram Temple came after a long legal battle. On 6th August 2019, the Supreme Court started daily hearing, and after 40 continuous days of hearing, it was concluded on 16th October 2019. Though the Supreme Court reserved the verdict. Then on November 9th in 2019, the Supreme Court considered the concerned site as Sri Ram Janmabhoomi and considered 2.77 acres of land as the ownership of Ram Lalla. Along with this, the court directed that the central government should form a trust within 3 months for the construction of the temple, and the trust should include a representative of Nirmohi Akhada, and that ended the decades of long legal battle. Finally, the dream of Ram Temple came true and a grand Ram Temple was built. Lakhs of devotees are reaching Ayodhya every day to have a glimpse of Lord Sri Ram. Along with the construction of Ram Temple, all-round development of Ayodhya city is also taking place, due to which not only people are getting employment, but devotees are also getting all kinds of facilities. Bureau Report, DD India.
Well, 5 years to the day after India abrogated Article 370 of its constitution, restoration of peace and developmental activities stand out as its most significant achievements in Jammu and Kashmir. The past 5 years have seen a remarkable transformation of Jammu and Kashmir. Sakal Bhatt reports for more.
मैं मानता हूं कि जम्मू कश्मीर में एक लंबे रक्तपात भरे युग का अंत धारा 370 के समाप्त होने से
Unfolding the remarkable transformation of the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, abrogation of Article 370 not only marked endgame of separatism and terrorism in the region, but also a big shift from terror to transformation. Kashmir of India has embraced this change with open arms.
जब से मोदी सरकार की हुकूमत आई है तब से बहुत राहत हमें मिली है। हमें कोई टेंशन नहीं है। जो पिछले 30 सालों में हो रहा था वो सब बदल गए हैं। कोई पथराव नहीं है, कोई हड़ताल नहीं है।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi's government has, dedicated to healing the wounds that were afflicted upon Kashmiris, that afflicted the hearts and minds of Kashmiris due to the misguided decisions taken after independence. So I feel that as we embark on the future journey, we expect a similar unwavering approach from the Prime Minister Narendra Modi-led government so that we see a peaceful and prosperous Jammu and Kashmir.
The erstwhile terror and stone pelting infested zones are now bustling with normalcy. Generations privy to the years of terrorism and turmoil speak of semblance of normalcy witnessed in last 5 years.
आज से 5 साल पहले की बात करें, डाउनटाउन में चलना बड़ा मुश्किल था। डाउनटाउन के दुकान वाले बहुत परेशान थे, स्टोन पेल्टिंग होती रहती थी। लेकिन अगर हम आज के दौर की बात करें, डाउनटाउन का हर कोई यूथ अभी अपनी लाइफ को स्मूथली चला रहा है।
There has been a drastic uptick in tourist footfall and trade as well.
I have seen a lot of change in the last 5 years. Before, it was very difficult to do business in Kashmir Valley due to stone pelting, strikes, curfews, and now things has been really changed, and we are thankful to God. And because of the government, they have really taken a good action about those incidents, and we are very, very thankful to the government of India.
पहले पथराव होता है, कर्फ्यू होता था, टूरिस्ट नहीं आता था। अब इन 5 सालों में बहुत फर्क आ गया है। अभी टूरिस्ट भी बहुत आ रहा है और लोग भी अच्छे कमाई हो रहा है और शिकारा भी सब लोग कमाते हैं, होटल वाले, हाउस बोट वाले सब कमाते हैं।
Local inhabitants of Kashmir also speak of the powerful shift in lives of students, signifying the profound impact on education and its continuity.
4-5 साल से अगर हम देखें तो बहुत ही बेहतरीन रहा है। कुछ कर्फ्यू नहीं है, कोई पत्थरबाजी नहीं है, कोई बच्चा डरता नहीं है, अच्छे से स्कूल जाता है, कंटिन्यूसली स्कूल जाता है। कॉलेज अगर देखें तो कंटिन्यूसली ऑन रहते हैं।
Kashmir now thrives on newfound peace and progress, a clear transition from shadows of uncertainty and decades of stagnation characterized by shutdowns. All that is history now.
यहाँ की जो चेंज है वो विजिबल है। जब आप कश्मीर में 5 साल पहले की बात करेंगे, स्ट्राइक्स की आप बात करें, स्टोन पेल्टिंग की बात करें, इवन मिलिटेंसी की बात करें, वो ग्राफ पूरी तरह से जीरो पे आ चुका है।
In a big turnaround of ground situation post-abrogation of Article 370, as per Government of India, there has been 70% decline in total terrorism-related cases, an 81% reduction in civilian deaths, and a 48% decrease in casualties of security forces. The current scenario is a testament to the resilience and transformation of a region that has embraced peace wholeheartedly. Sakal Bhatt's report for DD India.
And now let's take a look at other weather updates making news around the country. Rescue operations are in final stage in the landslides hit Wayanad in India's southern state of Kerala. The official death toll from the massive landslides is around 221, while hundreds of people are still missing. At affected sites, further search will be carried out from Monday, identifying locations. In response to incessant rainfall in Maharashtra's Pune and the release of excess water from the Khadakwasla Dam, the Indian Army has swiftly mobilized a flood relief column to assist the affected residents of Ekta Nagar. The Indian Army has commenced the evacuation of all buildings and apartments in the inundated areas, relocating residents to safer locations. Meanwhile, rescue and relief works are also underway in North Indian states of Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand affected by cloudburst and landslides. Indian Army, in close coordination with state rescue teams and civil administration, is engaged in rescue operation. On the other hand, incessant rains and flood-like situation have made life miserable in different parts of the country. Places in Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh and Gujarat likely to get heavy rains on Monday also. And now let's take a look at other stories making news today. Concerns over spread of Zika virus in India rises as number of positive cases increase. Highest number of Zika virus patients have been reported in Pune as the tally surged to 66 in the city. Experts have predicted that the impact of insect-borne diseases will increase due to more rainfall this year. Maharashtra Chief Minister Eknath Shinde is also scheduled to address a press conference in Pune today on measures taken after heavy rainfall hit the region. Security measures have been heightened in India's Akhnur in Jammu district. This comes in view of 5th anniversary of abrogation of Article 370. On August 5th, 2019, Article 370 was abrogated, taking away Jammu and Kashmir's special status and statehood and splitting it into 2 union territories. Jammu and Kashmir police has increased patrolling in the Akhnur area. India's National Disaster Response Force rescued 7 fishermen stranded in Auranga River in Gujarat state in the early hours of Monday. They were stranded in Hinglaj village because of continuous rainfall and high tide in the Auranga River. Indian devotees thronged Mahakaleshwar temple in Ujjain city to offer prayers on 3rd Monday of Holy Sawan month. A video footage showcased a divine scene as priests performed rituals and offered prayers to Lord Shiva at the temple. And still to come on DD India News Hour. We'll give you an update on the market situation as stocks slugged amid US recession risk. New Zealand boosts green policy to empower its economy and fulfill promises made to the voters. And boxing ring at the Paris Olympics gets hit by gender controversy surrounding athletes Iman Khalif and Lin Yuting.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lipakshi Khurana and time now for some business news. The Indian benchmark indices Sensex and Nifty opened lower due to weak global cues. BSE Sensex dropped to 2,393.77 points and the NSE Nifty falling 414.85 points. This decline was in line with broad losses in Asian markets, with the Nikkei plummeting over 6% and other markets such as Korea, Taiwan and Australia seeing declines ranging from 2.5% to 7%. The Japanese Nikkei's decline amid economic crisis highlights the global context impacting Indian markets. Further, recent weak US job data and low inflation have fueled expectations for a Federal Reserve rate cut in September. And top oil exporter Saudi Arabia raised the price of its crude for Asia in September for the first time in 3 months while cutting prices to the other regions. The price hikes is likely due to weak refining margins in Asia and as negotiations for annual term supplies are approaching are Singapore-based traders. The official selling price for Arab light crude to Asia rose by 20 cents to $2 a barrel. Refining sources in Asia had expected Saudi Aramco to raise prices for all crude grades by at least 50 cents a barrel in West Asia benchmark Dubai last month. Well, Nigeria has set a target to increase its production of crude oil to 2 million barrels per day before the end of the year. Authorities at the country's state-owned company, the NNPC, say they are committed to the goal and are collaborating with security agencies to tackle pipeline vandals who have been stealing and frustrating production. DD's Tesim Agente reports for more.
Saad Garba is an oil and gas dealer in Jos. He says the government's ambitious projection can be achieved if it tackles violent agitators and theft.
There are a lot of crude oil thefts, all this bunkering. In fact, they even have some refineries. They will go out and do it locally. They will, from offshore trying to break out the crude oil, they will boost the pipe. So once they improve this thing, it will be a good thing.
Nigeria's oil production dropped to 1.3 million barrels per day in February, down from 1.4 million barrels in January. That's according to the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC. Attacks on oil facilities, vandalism of pipelines and crude theft by criminals are part of the problem. The country's Senate says the government lost over $1 billion to crude theft last year as a result of bunkering and other illegal activities by vandals. According to Nigeria's Ministry of Justice, over 600 million barrels of crude, valued at $46 billion, were lost to theft between 2009 and 2020. The government says it has tasked security agencies to address the problem. Economic analysts say that will guarantee improved supply to refineries for production of petrol and other byproducts for local consumption and for export, thereby increasing the country's foreign exchange earnings.
Nigerian refinery plus this Dangote's on, and the government us that we have that Warri, Port Harcourt and Kaduna's on, I think we are going to start exporting oil to this our neighboring country in Africa. I think Nigeria alone can serve all these West African countries in terms of fuel and whatsoever.
But oil and gas experts say the government will need to tackle corruption among officials in the oil and gas sector to ensure all crude oil produced is accounted for.
Some of the time they produce more than what they are saying. They might produce more than 2 million. At the end of the day, you know how Nigerians, there will be a lot of theft. They'll produce 1 million, they'll say 800. So there are people behind this. They should put more eyes on this production.
President Bola Tinubu has admitted to being aware of corruption in the oil and gas sector and committed to tackling it and in other sectors of the economy. To ensure accountability, he has created an Office of Policy and Coordination where officials are subjected to key performance indicators, with those found wanting held responsible. Many Nigerians, especially those in the oil and gas sector, say they are looking forward to increased economic growth for the nation with increased crude oil production. Tesum Akende in Jos reporting for DD India.
Well, New Zealand boosts green policies to empower flailing economy and fulfill promises made to its voters. Since taking power last year, Prime Minister Christopher's centre-right coalition announced to make a ban on oil and gas exploration and push prices of agricultural emissions to encourage more mining, to increase exports to support economy that grew just 0.3% in the year to March 2024, its lowest growth for the same period since the pandemic hit in 2020. The government has also set a target to double mineral exports to 2 billion New Zealand dollars over 10 years to empower shrinking government. And now to all the updates from the Paris Olympics 2024. Well, looking forward to 10th day for India at the Paris Olympics, where star shuttler Lakshya Sen will look to script history and become the first Indian man to win a badminton medal at Olympics. Meanwhile, wrestling events will also begin from today. DD India's Narayan Singh will bring you more update.
An exciting day ahead for the Indian contingent at the Paris Olympics, as day 10 of the Games promises to be an action-packed day, with several key events lined up. In badminton, Lakshya Sen, who fell short of reaching in the final in the men's singles, has a chance to clinch a bronze medal. He faces a formidable opponent in Malaysian shuttler for the bronze medal match. If we talk about track and field, we will see Avinash Sable, known for breaking national records, competing in men's steeplechase heat. Sable will aim for his personal best to secure a place in the final. Wrestling fans can look forward to Nisha Dayya's performance in the women's 68 kg category as she fights to advance to the medal round. This day also marks the beginning of the wrestling events at the Paris Games. In table tennis, India's women's team comprising Srija Kula, Manika, Archana will face Romania in the round of 16. The team will be eager to secure their spot in the quarter-finals of the tournament in table tennis. Now talk about some few more events. Talk about shooting. Maheshwari Chauhan and Anandjit Naruka will participate in the skeet mixed team qualification. Kiran Pahel will race in women's 400-meter heats. And talking about sailing, Netra Kumaran will compete in the race number 9 and 10 in the Dingy event. And in men's category, Vishnu Sarvanan will be there. He will take part in 9 and 10 number race in the Dingy event. So we are hoping that these athletes will continue the winning momentum they have gained and will ensure more medal for the Indian athletes are, we can say, the poised for a day filled with victories and personal best as they are looking to get the Olympic glory for India.
Well, the boxing ring at the Paris Olympics has been hit by gender controversy surrounding athletes Iman Khalif and Lin Yuting. TD India's Narayan Singh explains the controversy, details behind their disqualification and subsequent reinstatement by the IOC.
The participation of Algeria's Iman Khalif and Taiwan's Lin Yuting in the Paris Olympics has sparked controversy due to their previous disqualification from the 2023 World Boxing Championship. Both athletes were initially barred after failing gender eligibility tests conducted by the International Boxing Association, that is IBA, have now been cleared to compete by the International Olympic Committee, IOC. Here, first let's take a look at the journey of Khalif and Lin. Iman Khalif, right now 25 years old, secured a spot in the semi-finals of the Paris Olympics after defeating Hungarian boxer Luka, ensuring at least a bronze medal in the competition. Khalif's path to this point, however, has been fraught with controversies. Her first bout in the games was against Italian boxer Carini, who abandoned the fight after 46 seconds, citing concerns for her safety. Carini later apologized to Khalif, acknowledging ICC's decision to allow her to compete. Talk about Lin Yuting, competing in the featherweight category, also faced scrutiny. Her initial bout saw mixed reaction from the audiences, yet she triumphed over the Uzbek boxer, advancing to the quarter-final stage of the Olympics. Now, what's the controversy? The crux of the controversy lies in differing positions of the IOC and the IBA regarding the gender eligibility. At the 2023 World Championship, both Khalif and Lin were disqualified by the IBA, failing the gender eligibility test, which reportedly found XY chromosomes in both the athletes. The IBA adheres to a strict definition of gender based on chromosomal patterns, defining women as individuals with XX chromosomes and men as with XY chromosomes. Khalif initially appealed to this decision, but later withdrew at the Court of Arbitration. The IOC, however, has cast doubt on the accuracy and validity of the IBA's testing method. An IOC spokesperson said that Khalif was born female and has always identified and competed as a female and holds a female passport. This stance was echoed in Khalif's personal accounts of growing up as a girl in Algeria and facing gender-based prejudice. The case of Iman Khalif and Lin Yuting illustrates, we can say, the complexities and evolving nature of the gender eligibility in the competitive sports, while IBA holds firm on its chromosomal-based definition. The IOC decision to allow athletes to compete suggests move towards more individualized assessment of gender. This controversy, we can say, that highlights the need for continued dialogue, and also we can say the research to balance fairness, inclusivity, and the integrity of the competitive sports. So hope soon there will be more better tests, more better research to so that such sort of controversy should not spark in the mega events like Olympics.
All right, that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Lepakshi Khurana from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour.